You know what's crazy? Most people will spend their entire life learning how to make money, but almost no one ever learns where money actually comes from. And no, it's not from your job. It's not from your business. It's not from your talent, your skills, or even your time. Money, real, life-changing wealth comes from people. That's the secret no one teaches you in school. Every opportunity you've ever had, every job you got, every door that opened, every time someone believed in you, it came from one person, one conversation, one connection, one relationship. But here's the harsh truth. If your network is full of average, broke, negative, small-minded people, it doesn't matter how smart or talented you are, you're stuck, and no one's coming to save you. You could be a genius, you could have the best product in the world, but if no one knows your name, you're invisible. Right now, you might think you're just one strategy away from success, one new habit, one lucky break, one viral video. But the truth, you're one person away, one relationship away, one network away. And if you don't build it, someone else will. And they'll take everything you ever dreamed of. So let's fix that right now. But before we dive into how to build a network that multiplies your wealth and opens every door, make sure you're subscribed. This isn't just another motivational video. This is your blueprint to stop chasing money and start attracting it. There's a story I never told anyone before. When I was 19, I had this insane drive. I wanted to be successful more than anything. I didn't care if it took 5 years or 15. I was ready to grind, hustle, do whatever it took. But there was a problem. I was doing everything alone. I'd sit in my room watching videos about wealth, mindset, real estate, entrepreneurship. I knew all the quotes, all the strategies. I had notebooks filled with plans, but no one around me cared. My friends thought I was too intense. My family told me to be realistic. And every time I tried to share an idea, it would just die in the room. No energy, no feedback, no growth, just silence. That silence, it kills dreams. You think you're building, you think you're making progress, but really, you're just stuck in your own echo chamber, convincing yourself that you're moving while standing still. And it wasn't until I accidentally got invited to this little meetup, a small group of entrepreneurs at a local cafe, that everything changed. I walked in and for the first time in my life, I felt it. The conversations were electric. People were throwing around ideas like confetti. There were million-dollar problems being solved right in front of me. I hadn't made a single dollar yet, but I walked out of that room richer than I ever been. Because here's what nobody tells you. If you're the most ambitious person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Let that sink in. You can work your ass off in isolation for 10 years. Or you can have one conversation with someone ahead of you that collapses those 10 years into 10 minutes. This is why the phrase your network is your net worth is not just some motivational poster. It's not a quote. It's a law. Like gravity. If the people around you aren't building, growing, investing, leveling up, then you're not either. You just don't realize it yet. Look around. If your 5 closest friends are broke, negative, gossiping, scrolling, distracted, guess what you're becoming? Not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, but because proximity is power. Energy is contagious. Beliefs are contagious. Mindsets are contagious. Try this. Next time you get around someone successful, someone you deeply respect, just shut up and listen. Don't pitch. Don't ask. Don't try to impress. Just observe their language, their presence, their standards, their emotional control. You'll start realizing you've been playing small, not because you chose to, but because you've never seen what big looks like. That's the silent prison 90% of people live in. They don't even know they're locked in, because everyone around them is, too. So let me ask you, when's the last time you put yourself in a room that made you uncomfortable? Not unsafe, not unwelcome, uncomfortable. That stretch you feel when someone challenges your thinking. That awkward silence when you realize you can't fake it anymore. That's growth knocking. And yes, it's humbling. Yes, it stings. But it's better than dying slowly in a sea of mediocrity. Let me be clear. Your environment is not just influencing you. It's shaping you, sculpting your mind, deciding what's normal, defining your limits. And if you don't choose your environment intentionally, then it's already been chosen for you. Probably by accident, probably by comfort, probably by fear. Look, I'm not saying ditch your friends or ghost your family, but you do need a second circle, A power circle, people who are 2, 5, 10 steps ahead. People who normalize excellence, not excuses. So here's your challenge. Find one person this month who's where you want to be. Invite them for coffee. Offer value. Ask questions. Shut up and learn. That one interaction might not make you rich, but it will make you ready. And when you're ready, the money shows up fast. But not because you worked harder. Not because the algorithm liked you. Because someone opened a door. That's the secret. You're not supposed to do this alone. You never were. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When you think about networking, what's the first word that comes to mind? Be honest. Fake. Cringe. Desperate. Salesy. Pointless. That's what most people think. And it's exactly why most people stay broke. Because we've been lied to about what networking really is. We think it's handing out business cards at some boring event. Or sending cold DMs. Or pretending to care about people just to get something from them. But real networking, it's not about what you want. It's about who you become. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy I met early in my career. Let's call him Brandon. Brandon wasn't the smartest guy in the room, wasn't the richest, didn't have the best ideas, but somehow, he kept winning. He always had opportunities, always had people supporting him, always had investors, clients, partners, whatever he needed. And I couldn't figure it out. Until one day I watched him walk into a room. He didn't pitch. He didn't sell. He didn't even talk that much. He just listened. He made people feel seen. He remembered names. He asked thoughtful questions. He followed up without being annoying. He added value without asking for anything back. That's it. No secret script. No social media growth hack. Just intentional connection. And over time, Brandon became one of the most respected and successful people I knew. Here's the kicker. He never networked to get rich. He got rich because he knew how to build trust. So let me say this clearly. Your network is not your audience. It's not your followers. It's not your email list. It's not how many people you know. It's how many people would vouch for you in a room you're not in. That's the test. If you disappeared tomorrow, who would go looking for you? If your name came up in a high-stakes meeting, would anyone fight for you to get that deal? If the answer is no, you don't have a network, you have a contact list. Big difference. Now here's the brutal part. Most people think they're being authentic by avoiding networking. They say things like, I don't want to seem needy. I'm just gonna let my work speak for itself. I'm not into the whole self-promotion thing. Sounds noble, right? It's not. It's just fear. Dressed up as humility. Because deep down, you know you don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be ignored. You don't want to reach out and feel small. So instead, you wait, you post, you hope, and you waste years of your life building in the shadows, waiting for someone to magically notice you. But let me break the illusion for you. No one is coming to save you. No one is browsing LinkedIn hoping to change a stranger's life. No one is scrolling through Instagram thinking, wow, this person deserves an opportunity. People help people they know. People invest in people they like. People open doors for people they trust. And trust doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being present, from showing up, from reaching out, from following through, from caring when you don't have to. I know, this isn't sexy. This isn't a shortcut. This won't make you a millionaire overnight, but it will make you dangerous. Because when people start whispering your name in rooms you've never entered, that's when momentum gets scary fast. So here's your practice. Every single week, reach out to one person you admire. Not to ask for anything, not to pitch, just to connect. Comment on their work, send a voice note, share a genuine insight. Not hey, love your content. Say something real, something specific, something memorable. Most people won't respond. That's okay, but the few that do, those relationships compound faster than money ever will. Because while everyone else is building funnels, you're building bridges. And those bridges lead to everything you want. Let me hit you with something heavy. Isolation feels safe until it starts to kill you. Not in some poetic, spiritual way. I mean literally. Kill your potential, your creativity, your ambition, your momentum. It starts slow, quiet. First, it feels like peace. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to deal with judgment. You're in control. You're focused. You're grinding. But then, days turn to weeks. Weeks to months, and before you even realize it, the edge you used to have, it's dull now. The fire you used to wake up with, gone. That certainty you were building with, it's cracked. Because without mirrors, without reflection, you lose who you are. I once read a study that said people in solitary confinement lose track of their own voice. Not metaphorically, literally. They forget how they sound. That's what happens to you, too. When you're isolated for too long, you forget how you sound when you're fully alive. And this is where it gets dangerous. When you're alone for long enough, your goals shrink, your standards soften, your urgency fades. You think you're still playing big, but you're really just looping in your own head, solving the same problems with the same tired thinking. Let me tell you what saved me. There was a time when I felt stuck. Not broke, not hopeless, just stuck. I had built some momentum. I had some skills, but I wasn't breaking through. No matter how hard I worked, I felt like I was hitting a ceiling I couldn't see. Until one night, I got invited to a private mastermind. Small group, 10 people, every single one of them making more than me. Every single one of them sharper, faster, better. And I'll be honest, I almost didn't go. I was scared. I thought I wouldn't fit in. I thought I'd embarrass myself. I thought I'd be exposed. But I went. And something wild happened. As I sat there, listening to these people talk about deals, systems, leverage, strategy, something inside me unlocked, because I realized they weren't smarter than me. They weren't luckier. They just believed bigger. They had normalized the level of thinking I didn't even know was possible. And just being in that room, not asking, not begging, just observing, it rewired my brain. That week, I doubled my prices. That month, I landed 2 new clients. And within 90 days, I was in a different life. Not because I changed my skills, because I changed my environment. Let me say this to you straight. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your circle. So if your circle is small-minded, scarcity-driven, insecure, you will become that. Not because you want to, because that's what's normal to them. And humans crave one thing more than success: belonging. If everyone around you says chill out, you're working too hard, guess what you'll do? You'll slow down. If everyone around you says that's unrealistic, you'll aim smaller. If everyone around you is complaining about the economy, the market, the algorithm, the weather, you'll start thinking the problem is out there. But when your circle is sharp, you move different. You eat different. You think faster. You take bigger swings. And here's the part that'll scare you. You already know this. You felt it. There's been a moment in your life, maybe years ago, where you were surrounded by the right people, even for just a day. And something inside you woke up. That feeling. That's who you really are. Not the person scrolling endlessly. Not the person doubting every idea. Not the one overthinking every move. The real you is powerful, clear, creative, magnetic, but you can't access that version of you alone. You need contrast. You need challenge. You need energy that demands your best. That's what the right network does. Not just gives you opportunities, it pulls out your greatness, whether you like it or not. So if you've been feeling foggy, flat, uninspired, ask yourself, when was the last time someone truly called you forward? Not cheered for you, not agreed with you, challenged you. Because if you can't name that moment, you don't have a network, you have a comfort zone, and that's not where legends are built. Let's get tactical. So far, we've talked about the why your network matters, why isolation is a trap, why proximity is power. But now, let's talk about the how, because chances are, you're watching this thinking, okay, I get it, I need a stronger network, but how do I actually build one if I'm not already successful? Great question. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. You don't find a powerful network, you build it. And it's not about chasing big names or kissing up to influencers. It's about building layers of connection, each one serving a different purpose in your life. I call it the 3-layer network. 1. The circle of trust. 2. The circle of growth. 3. The circle of opportunity. Let's break these down. First, the circle of trust. This is your inner circle. People who know you deeply. People who will tell you the truth. Not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. They don't flatter you. They challenge you. They remind you who the hell you are when you forget. This circle is small. 3 people. Maybe 5. They're not always the most successful, but they're honest. They're consistent. They show up. Without this layer, you lose yourself. You get lost in the noise. You start performing instead of creating. You chase status instead of alignment. This circle keeps you grounded. Second, the circle of growth. These are your peers. People on a similar journey who are obsessed with getting better. You exchange ideas. You collaborate. You push each other. This is your creative gym. No egos, no competition, just high standards and mutual respect. Think weekly calls, private groups, shared challenges, real feedback. This circle keeps you sharp. Without it, you stagnate. You start believing you're doing enough, even when you're not. Third, the circle of opportunity. This is where the leverage is. People who are ahead of you. People who have what you want: experience, capital, reach, wisdom. This is the hardest circle to access, but also the most valuable. You don't join this circle by being impressive. You join by being useful. And here's the twist. You don't climb up by asking for help. You climb by solving their problems. Let me say that again. If you want high-level people to take you seriously, stop trying to look smart. Start being valuable. Learn to ask the right questions. Learn to spot inefficiencies. Learn to listen for what they're struggling with, even when they're not saying it out loud. Be the person who doesn't just talk. Be the one who executes. That's how you earn a seat at bigger tables, not through hype, through helpfulness. Let me give you a real-world example. I knew a guy, barely 21, who got into a circle of multimillionaires in the tech world. He wasn't rich. He didn't come from money, but he was relentlessly useful. Every time someone mentioned a tool, he already had a custom spreadsheet comparing it to 3 alternatives. Every time someone had a question about copywriting, he sent over a full SWOT file. Every time someone said, "Man, I wish there was a better way to do X," he'd say, "Give me 48 hours. That hit. He now runs partnerships for a $100 million company because he understood something most people don't. Access is earned through action. Now here's where it gets deep. You don't need hundreds of people in these circles. You just need a few aligned ones. One person who believes in you can change your whole trajectory. One person who opens the right door. One person who says your name in the right room. But they won't show up by accident. You have to build your life to attract them. So ask yourself, are you the kind of person someone powerful would want to work with? Would you partner with you? If not, fix it. Not for them. For you. Raise your standards. Upgrade your language. Clean up your brand. Be someone whose presence is a gift, not a request. Because you don't attract high-caliber people by faking it. You attract them by becoming it. This isn't networking. This is identity. You're not just building a list of contacts. You're building your reputation. And in the world we're heading into, reputation is currency. Let's go deeper. There's a secret about wealth that almost nobody talks about. You ready? Wealth is not about what you control. It's about what you influence. Let that sink in. You could own a business, be a master of your craft, even have a solid income, and still feel stuck. Still feel like you're working too hard for too little, because you've built a castle, but no kingdom, no reach, no leverage, no one carrying your name into rooms you haven't entered yet. And the wealthiest people in the world, they don't just control assets, they control attention, access, allegiance, not because they're manipulative, but because they've invested in people just as much as they've invested in strategy. Think about it. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple alone. Elon Musk didn't launch rockets by himself. Oprah didn't create an empire in silence. They built networks of trust, talent, and belief. And those networks became machines, pushing momentum forward even when they were sleeping. Let me ask you something. If you stopped working today, would anything still move? Would anyone still talk about your ideas? Would anyone keep your mission alive? Would any opportunity continue flowing toward you? Or would it all stop the moment you stop? If the answer is yes, congratulations, you've built a system. If the answer is no, then you're not free. You're just self-employed. And here's where most people miss the mark. They think building a network is about growing horizontally. More followers, more views, more contacts, but the smartest builders think vertically. They build power layers, people above them, who can pull them up, people beside them, who move in sync, people below them, who they pour into and multiply. This is how you scale not just income, but influence, because money is just one kind of leverage. People are another. Think about how unfair that is. In the best possible way, you can be sitting at home, on your couch, and someone across the world is mentioning your name in a meeting you've never been invited to. They're saying, "You should talk to her. He's the guy for this. She's legit. He's sharp." That kind of influence, you can't buy it. You can't fake it. You can only earn it through consistency, through generosity, through playing the long game. And when that influence kicks in, here's what happens. Opportunities start finding you. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't sell your soul for exposure. People come to you because they trust your name. That's what your network gives you. Not just access to capital, but compound trust. Let me say that again. Compound trust. One person vouches for you to another. That person tells their circle. Suddenly, doors open that money could never unlock. That's how investors appear out of nowhere. That's how collaborations happen. That's how one podcast interview leads to 5. That's how deals go from maybe to where do I sign. But here's the dark side. If you don't build this machine, someone else will, and they'll take everything you wanted. Because we live in an age where visibility is currency, but connection is control. You don't need 1,000,000 followers. You need 10 people who believe in you so deeply, they won't shut up about you in the right rooms. That's it. And if you think that kind of belief happens by accident, you're lying to yourself. You have to nurture it. You have to earn it. You have to protect it. Because your network isn't just a nice to have. It's your distribution channel, your defense system, your fast lane. Without it, you're stuck in first gear. No matter how talented you are, with it, you're not just accelerating, you're ascending. Because when the right people believe in you, everything accelerates. Not just your income, your identity, your confidence, your vision. So here's your wake-up call. Stop trying to do this alone. Stop trying to grind your way there. Start building your army. Because the future, it won't belong to the smartest, it'll belong to the most connected. Here's something nobody says out loud. At some point, your network stops being about what you get and starts becoming about who you are. That's the final evolution. Most people never get there. They're too focused on extraction. Who can help me? Who can promote me? Who can invest in me? And look, that's okay in the beginning. We all start by reaching up. We all need doors open for us. We all crave that one yes, that one connection, that one break. That if you stay there, if your entire networking philosophy is built around getting, you will never build anything bigger than you. And if what you're building isn't bigger than you, then it dies with you. Let that sink in, because eventually, the most powerful shift happens, and it's emotional, not strategic. You stop asking, who can give me a shot, and you start asking, who can I become a shot for? That's where everything changes. That's when your network becomes a legacy. I remember the first time someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, you changed my life. One thing you said opened a door I didn't even know existed." They weren't a client. They weren't a customer, just someone I had encouraged once, quickly, honestly, and forgot about. But they didn't forget, and I realized, in that moment, I was no longer just trying to build wealth. I was building momentum for others. I was becoming the person I once prayed I'd meet. And you have the same opportunity, because as your network grows, so does your responsibility. You become a signal. You become a source. People will look to you, not just for answers, but for permission. Permission to think bigger, to move faster, to believe harder, to dream beyond the cage they were born into. And you can't take that lightly, because here's the uncomfortable truth. You are someone else's ceiling, or someone else's floor. There's no neutral. You're either lifting people, or you're holding them where they are by the way you think, speak, move, show up. The way you network reflects your inner world. If you connect out of fear, people feel it. If you connect out of insecurity, people sense it. If you connect from a place of genuine abundance, people remember it forever. And here's the paradox. The more you give, the more you get. Not because it's a tactic, because generosity makes you magnetic. When people sense that you're not keeping score, that you're just in the game to build, create, elevate, they start showing up for you in ways you can't predict. Referrals, introductions, endorsements, opportunities behind closed doors. They come out of nowhere, but they're never random. They're just delayed dividends from value you created without expectation. This is how networks become ecosystems, not a list of names. A living, breathing force that moves without you having to push. But to get there, you have to change your intent. Not how can I get in the room, but how can I become the reason the room gets better. Think about the best connectors you know. They're not loud. They're not flashy. They're present. They remember birthdays. They send thoughtful voice notes. They introduce you to someone who ends up changing your business without asking for anything. That's mastery, because it's not just about having a network, it's about being the heartbeat of one. So ask yourself, do you show up when there's no benefit? Do you follow up without an agenda? Do you listen without trying to fix or sell? If you can say yes, consistently, then you're not just networking anymore. You're leading, and the world is starving for leadership. Not the loud, stage-performing kind. The real kind. The kind that quietly builds trust over time. The kind that earns influence by being relentlessly useful, relentlessly honest, relentlessly human. Because here's what no one wants to admit. The game isn't about who knows the most. It's about who's trusted the most. And trust comes from alignment. When your words match your actions. When your energy matches your values. When your ambition doesn't crush your integrity. You don't need to fake authority. You don't need to flex. You don't need to chase anyone. When you become solid, people feel it, and the right ones come to you. So if you've been stuck trying to grow your network, maybe the question isn't, how do I find better people? Maybe it's, how do I become someone worth finding? Because the network you attract is a mirror. It reflects your mindset, your habits, your reputation. If you attract flaky, ego-driven, transactional people, look inward. If you attract grounded, smart, generous allies, look again. That's you showing up in the world. Your network doesn't start with strategy. It starts with standards. And when you raise those standards, when you decide to operate like the future version of you, your entire network starts to shift. Not overnight, not easily, but permanently. And once you step into that new identity, you don't just gain wealth, you become wealth. Because people don't remember how you performed. They remember how you made them feel. They remember whether you made the room warmer or colder. So be the heat. So let me leave you with this. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, build your network. If you want to go legendary, become someone others rise with. Because in the end, you're not remembered by what you earned. You're remembered by who you elevated. This isn't a suggestion. It's survival. In the world we're living in, your network is your future. So stop waiting. Start reaching. And become the reason someone else wins. Your name should mean momentum. Your presence should feel like possibility. Because wealth, it's never just about money. It's about people. Subscribe. And now, go watch these videos.